Hey folks, this is Kalani. It's been a bit of a rough week for Blizzard. We've seen some huge bugs that are potentially game-breaking, and some of them haven't even been fixed yet. A few nerfs have come through for the Castle Nathria raid once again, and we even have some class buffs to look forward to. Let's jump in and break it all down. Let's take a look at these class changes first. We don't have too many to look at, but Hunters actually made it onto this list for once. For Beast Mastery, Beast Cleave now causes your pet to strike other targets for 90% of your pet's damage, up from 75%. That's a pretty big buff to Beast Mastery's main cleave and AoE damage source, or at least their most reliable source. I wonder if we'll see more Beast Mastery Hunters in Mythic Plus dungeons with this buff. Marksmanship is also getting some love. Aimed shot damage has been increased by 5%, and trick shots now causes your aimed shot or rapid fire to ricochet for 55% of the damage, up from 50%. So a nice buff there to both single target potential and cleave and AoE potential for marksmanship. It's only one or two spells being affected, but those spells make up a good chunk of Marksmanship Hunter's damage profile, so nice to see. Windwalker monks can rejoice as well. We have some more buffs and a bug fix. Spinning Crane Kick's damage will now increase by 15%, up from 10% per unique target you've struck in the last 20 seconds, which is also up from 15 seconds with your various abilities. Getting 5 seconds added onto that timer is definitely going to be useful, and it's a big damage increase when you consider that 5% is going to stack for each target you manage to hit. Not too bad. On top of that, the Spinning Crane Kick bug that caused it to not benefit from your mastery has also been fixed, or apparently it's been fixed. I know some bugs can be more persistent sometimes. Hopefully they nip this one in the bud. That's not all though. Fists of Fury will now deal 70% damage to secondary targets, up from 50%. All of these buffs and bug fixes together should provide a very noticeable increase in both cleave potential and AoE potential, which is a bit crazy really. Windwalkers were already rocking those AoE meters. And then we have a Demonology buff as well. Demonology Warlocks will be making off with a simple 3% damage increase to both their spells and to their pets' damage. Seeing as Demonology relies on both types of damage, that's going to be a nice little buff overall. Probably not enough to shake up any of the current rankings, but nice to see nonetheless. I find it kind of funny that most of these buffs are in response to some bug fixes that inadvertently nerfed the damage of these specific specs. Hunters have been doing okay for themselves so far in this tier, and monks have been doing alright as well. Not super great, but they're also not dead last. These buffs aren't necessarily required for these specs to become viable again. They're specifically targeted at putting these specs back where they were before the bug fix. The dev team did say that patch 905 was not intended to massively upset the current rankings and status quo of current damage balance, but this means they may have more of an interest in maintaining the current standards instead of trying to get everyone on equal footing. The Demonology Warlock is a nice touch though. And then in other news, we also have some more nerfs coming to the Castle Nathria raid. I swear, with every week that passes, and with each new nerf tacked on top of the rest, patch 9.1 is inching closer and closer. Typically, we don't see nerfs to the end bosses, especially on Mythic difficulty, until the next patch starts winding up. We know that patch 9.1 should arrive on the PTR shortly to start the testing cycle soon, so I'm not too surprised to see some Stone Legion Generals nerfs finally make their appearance. Most of these changes will be for Mythic difficulty, so bear that in mind. To start with, the damage of Wicked Blast has been decreased by 15% on Mythic difficulty, and the damage of Wicked Laceration, that's the dot that Wicked Blade leaves behind, has had its damage reduced by about 10%. Less damage over time means your raid can survive for longer through higher stacks, which will definitely make this fight quite a bit easier. The ads that you have to deal with in the main phases of the fight have also been nerfed. When the Stone Legion Goliaths get to 30% health, they start stacking Soul Taint Effigy on your raid, reducing the healing taken by up to 100%, basically meaning you can't heal at all if you don't kill these ads fast enough. That's been nerfed down to 80% maximum reduction, which means you will never be in a zero healing situation on this fight ever again. At least 20% of healing will always be able to go through. On Mythic difficulty, you get a new ad, the Stone Legion Skirmishers. When these chaps get to low health, they create winds that try to blow you off the platform. That ability has also been nerfed, and the movement force was reduced by 20%, so hopefully we'll see less people fly off the edge now. There are also a bunch of changes to make the intermission phases easier. Anima orbs will last for 20 seconds, up from 15 seconds on heroic and mythic difficulties. This gives you a longer period of time to pick up the orbs needed to get out of the phase, so they shouldn't despawn. The debuffs relating to when you have an orb have also been increased to 20 seconds, up from 16, so you will have longer to get the orb over to Renathal. Very important on mythic difficulty especially, and then the knockback from each anima orb being delivered on mythic difficulty has been reduced to 40 yards, down from 45. And then the last change in here for Stone Legion Generals, the volatile stone shell shield that you have to DPS down before it explodes on Mythic, that shield will now last for 5 seconds, up from 4, giving you a whole extra second of DPS before your raid wipes. All in all, these nerfs should make the fight considerably easier to execute, which is pretty handy because this is the boss my guild is currently working on. There are also some nerfs coming to Sludge Fist. Destructive Stomp radius has been decreased to 16 yards, down from 20 yards on all difficulties. That will give you much more room to work with, and you won't have to run quite as far as a melee DPS to get to safety. Chain Link will now also allow you to move 14 yards from your chain partner, up from 12 yards, so you have 2 yards of extra space before the chain breaks and immediately kills you. That's also on all difficulties. For Mythic difficulty, we have a few other changes. Fractured Debris missile travel time has been increased to 2.5 seconds, up from 1.5. If you're not sure what this is, whenever Sludge Fist slams a pillar, you have to soak 4 AoE effects that split into 2 smaller effects. If you miss any of these soaks, you pretty much die, so having an extra second to get into position is definitely going to be nice, and then the impact locations of Fractured Debris should be more visible on Mythic difficulty. Also a nice change. And that's it for this week's round of Castle Nathria nerfs, but we also have some rather hilarious, if not a bit worrying, bugs that came to light these past few days. For anyone in the Kyrian Covenant who has been using Pelagos as your soulbind for these past few months, which I'm pretty sure is quite a few of you, I have some bad news. The last point or talent or whatever you want to call it in Pelagos' tree has been horribly broken until now. It's supposed to decrease the magic damage you take by 1% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. Well, shockingly, it wasn't actually reducing your magic damage taken by 3%. This might be the worst kind of bug for this kind of passive ability because it was actually increasing your damage taken by up to 3%. Probably a very easy mistake to make, and apparently a very easy mistake to overlook because no one noticed until a couple days ago, and thankfully a very easy mistake to fix by the looks of things because just a few hours after this bug came to light, Blizzard had a hotfix ready to go to do the quick switcheroo to make this ability actually work. So if you suddenly feel a bit tankier, especially where magic damage is concerned, it's probably because you've gone from taking 3% more magic damage to the intended 3% less magic damage. That's going to be nice for, well, for anyone who plays Kyrian. The big bugs don't stop there though. Another game-breaking bug has been discovered, and this one has been hiding since the game launched. Have you ever noticed that Vengeance Demon Hunters seem to be doing incredibly well for themselves right now? They're the most popular tank for Mythic Plus dungeons, and they're being used for Mythic Castle Nathria progression. They just seem so tanky. Now, what if that tankiness was actually a bug? That would be pretty serious, right? As it turns out, that might actually be the case. I'll give you a link to a very interesting Wowhead article that breaks down the potential source of the bug, but what we know for sure right now is that Vengeance Demon Hunters are taking significantly less magic damage than what they should be. Magic damage is the hardest form of damage to properly mitigate for most tanks, so having a baked-in, bug-backed natural resistance to magic damage is gonna be amazing! Vengeance Demon Hunters have a passive that decreases their magic damage taken by 15%, so the bug could be this passive applying twice, Or maybe all 3 ranks of the passive applying at the same time. Rank 1 gives 5% resistance, rank 2 gives 10% resistance, and rank 3 gives 15% resistance. You should only get the highest value, but if there's a problem with this ability, then you can have 5, 10, and 15 stacked on top of each other. We're not too sure what the actual cause is, only Blizzard will be able to find out for sure, but it's definitely a problem, and it hasn't been addressed as of this video. This bug existing isn't the only problem this is going to cause. Imagine what happens when they fix it. It's going to cause a ripple throughout the game if they actually get around to fixing it. Can you imagine logging into your Demon Hunter and trying to run content that you've been able to do easy peasy up until now, and suddenly being unable to survive through the magic damage because a bug was fixed? That's not going to be fun. It's also worth pointing out that just before the game went live, literally right at the end of Shadowlands beta, Vengeance Demon Hunter's self-sustain was nerfed into the ground. Their Soul Cleave and Soul Fragment healing was drastically reduced because they were too tanky. But being too tanky was a bug. So if they fix that bug, hopefully they make some other changes to the spec as well. And at the same time, otherwise it's going to go from top tank to bottom tank faster than random players whisper you need when you get loot in LFR. So yeah, Demon Hunters are bugged right now. And to round out our wonderful week of bugs, you may have seen the rumours floating around relating to the Burning Crusade Classic Beta starting up a bit early. Some players were able to see the new Classic Beta in their game menu and were able to start downloading the appropriate files. Usually this means your account has been flagged for the beta test, but this time it looks like there was also a bug. At the time, no account had been properly flagged for beta access, so if you were one of the lucky or unlucky few, this would also explain why you might not see that beta option anymore. The Burning Crusade Classic Beta has launched earlier today and accounts have now been flagged, but if you were seeing it before today and you aren't seeing it any longer, this bug is to blame. That's definitely going to be disappointing for anyone who got their hopes up, but I'm sure more invites will go out soon. All you have to do is keep your fingers crossed. And that's it for this video. What do you think of all these crazy bugs popping out of the woodwork? Are you excited for Burning Crusade Beta to finally start up? Are you more interested to see more info on patch 9.1? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to everyone who subscribed on Twitch. You can see the names floating by on screen. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.